Welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, August 12th, 2022. I am Yvette Bones with the details. Dismissed teachers who were removed from service for refusing to comply with the government's COVID-19 mandate are intensifying their call to be reinstated. On Thursday, members of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union staged protest action in Kingstown, calling for the government to repeal the vaccine mandate. Just last week, the Public Service Union released a number of recommendations which unvaccinated teachers and school staff would be subject to if re-employed. Dismissed teachers and parents tell SVG-TV News they reject the government's offer to reapply, and they also highlight concerns about the quality of education students are receiving since trained teachers were let go.
We are standing, and we are standing with our union, and we are saying we need reinstatement, not to reapply. We need to be reinstated, and we are standing here today and making this clear, and we are sending this message that we are standing for reinstatement.
And for the government to say no, that if you don't take a vaccine, you'll be out of a job and lose all the benefit, is more than unreasonable. I mean, teachers have their mortgages to pay, they have their family to feed, they have their bills to pay. They have all other things to do.
What will you do?
Well, to be honest, I normally do my farming. I do a bit of farming, and that helped me out a lot. But I still have my mortgage and so forth to pay. So, you know, at the end of the month, for a shot. And that has been affecting me a great deal.
How do you see the children being affected that you used to teach?
Well, greatly. I mean, I'm a person with experience of 26 years. I have a degree in computer science. I've been teaching for all those years, and the children missing this kind of quality education in the classroom will affect them in the future, largely.
And I believe that we are held hostage and ransom because we choose not to inject a substance into our body. So Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves, please, we are nearing a new semester starting in September. Please, we are calling on you. Reinstate is the key. We need all our benefits. We do not need any more victimization.
I'm a teacher since 2003, and I left in 2007, went and studied and came back. So I've been teaching for a while. Well, it affected children a lot because parents called me to give their students lessons, and even for the upcoming semester or school term that coming up, I already have parents coming to me to have their kids get extra classes. So I know the students have been affected. Some of my students reach out to me from time to time. They would ask me how am I doing and stuff like that. So they have been affected.
I'm a parent. I give it support to the teachers because the teachers refuse to take the vaccine, and the Prime Minister let them go and say that they abandoned their job.
The SVGTU is expected to continue its protest action next week in Kingstown. Government has announced plans to do away with road workers being paid in person and will instead be implementing a bank card system. This is according to Acting Prime Minister Montgomery Daniel, who spoke on NBC Radio's face-to-face program on Wednesday. Daniel said that the 2022 road cleaning program is part of the volcano eruption emergency program.
Discussions with the Ministry of Finance. I'm told that because the monies does not come from the central government at this time, and that it is monies under the VEEP program, Volcano Emergency Relief Program, that for persons who are already on that program, who, for the persons in the red zone, who are being assisted under that assistance program, where that department has, to the request of the government, to give that kind of assistance, public assistance basically, to the people in those areas, that the better thing to do is not for them to line up for monies in the various areas, but to use the banking system to be able to get that money. And that has already been identified.
Daniel urges road workers to have their national ID cards ready when collecting their pay.
For the persons who are on the road cleaning program, to have their monies to be paid under such a system, it means therefore, as I'm told, that all of the persons who are working must be eligible, and that you should have a national ID card as a requirement, so that you would be able to have an ID to go to the bank and under the banking system to get your money through that card. So it is a requirement of the VEEP program, and that is the payment. Of course, if it is BRAXA, normally where central government monies were being handed over to BRAXA for that payment, then it would have been the usual way. But because of the EU funding, that this is the requirement that is being asked for the persons, the recipient of that program.
Under the volcano eruption emergency program, road workers will now see a $4 daily increase in their pay.
That's the volcano emergency program, of which we were able to negotiate the rates at $50 per day for the workers going out on the road. Of course, under BRAXA, the rate per day was just over $46 per day. So there has been an increase in terms of the rate as we were able to negotiate under this program. So $3.1 million, $3.189 million is now being placed for these works to be done over the next 8 or so days. Already we have seen the cleaning started, and a lot of persons are already on the road, and we look forward to their hard work as they continue to make St. Vincent and the Grenadines look beautiful.
A total of 491 gangs and truckers will be employed over the course of 8 days. $3.1 billion has been approved for the road cleaning program. Leader of the opposition New Democratic Party, Dr. Godwin Friday, is calling on the government to reduce the value-added tax to give incentives and ease from rising food prices. In a national address last evening on SVG-TV, Dr. Friday says the surge in global food prices is having a serious adverse effect on the cost of local food items. He outlined a number of proposals the government can implement to help citizens cope with the rising cost of living.
Reduce VAT from 16% to 13% and ensure that the savings are passed on to ordinary consumers. This will help everyone across the board. Increase the number of zero-rated VAT items. This will reduce grocery bills for everyone. Immediately repeal the customs service charge increase that was done a couple of years ago to reduce the cost of imports. Increase support for low-income families by expanding existing support programs and ensure that the support is distributed based on need, not by political favor. Provide import duty concessions for the transportation industry, which is to say the minivans, buses, and taxis. And end the unlimited increase.
The opposition leader outlined some of the current prices at some of the rural shops on mainland St. Vincent.
Chicken back has increased from $1.75 to $2.50. Leg quarts from $3 to $4. Turkey from $3.50 to $5. A small margarine from $4.95 to $6.50. 1 liter of cooking oil from $10.95 to $16. A bag of penny bread, penny loaf bread, from $2 to $3. The cost of electricity has risen a lot. The fuel surcharge was 28 cents per unit in March 2021. It was raised to 72 cents by July of this year. In a recent survey conducted by a local newspaper, nearly 82% of respondents said that the hikes in cooking oil, electricity, and food prices have caused them to cut back on basic food items, with many saying they are now paying $200 more for the same basket of goods.
Dr. Friday says it is the government's responsibility to cushion the blows of rising commodities in order to bring relief to Vincentians.
First, not government's revenues first. I said it early in the COVID crisis that we must put the money where the pain is. That is in helping families who are being squeezed now by the increase in prices. We Vincentians have always known that we are stronger when we stand together, when we work together. We value community and look after one another. Everyone has a role to play in seeing us through this crisis. Government must look to do everything it can to reduce costs and support those who need help. Importers and retailers must continue to do everything they can to hold prices in the short term, and now more than ever, we need to ensure that cost reductions are passed on to consumers.
Farmers and fisherfolk recently participated in a training workshop on food safety. The workshop was coordinated by the Ministry of Agriculture in collaboration with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the FAO, and the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, the IICA. Given an overview of the programs, technical specialist for the IICA, Michael Dalton, says over 70 farmers and fisherfolk across the country, which would be divided into groups according to agricultural regions, will benefit from these activities.
6 primary schools where we have established school gardens and where we are working with students from grade 3 and 4 to maintain those school gardens. So we are teaching both students and teachers a whole regime for school garden establishment and maintenance. But also important, a very important component of that whole program is a program for the training of farmers and fisherfolk. And under this component, we have 70 persons who have been identified to receive training. That 70 persons is stretched across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And by now, I think you all are familiar with the agricultural regions. So on the leeward side, from Lowman's Leeward to Richmond, we have agricultural region 1. We have 26 farmers in that region. In this region, we call agricultural region 2. We have some 20 farmers who have been identified. And in the agricultural region on the windward side, region 3, we have a further 20 farmers who have been identified to receive training under the program. And in addition to that, we are to provide training to some fisherfolk. About 10 or so fisherfolk would receive a regime of training.
Dalton says the training aims to build the capacity of producers to cultivate and supply high-quality food to the local market. He adds the action falls under the Resilient School Feeding Program, which is a sub-project of Mexico Column FAO initiative.
The program that we have for you is a program that looks at several different components of training that we think that we need to bring to the farming community now to bring them up to a particular state of production. So that program would look at a set of engagements to teach you good agricultural practices, to provide you with knowledge, with information on climate change and adaptation measures that you can have to address climate change impacts. We're going to look at, obviously, food safety, as we are about to start here today. And then we're going to also look at some post-harvest issues and post-harvest management for farmers. All right? An important part of the program in each one of the districts would be the establishment of a demonstration plot, which we would use to do a lot of the practical components of the training.
The presentation on food safety in fresh fruits and vegetables was done by Agricultural Officer of Region 2, Donald Jackson. He says after the food safety training program, farmers will be more knowledgeable on the cause of unsafe food.
What is our objective here today, this morning? Our objective this morning is that at the end of this training activity, okay, farmers will be able to know what causes unsafe food. Right? Hilton? What causes unsafe food? How food become unsafe. Okay? Effects of unsafe food and how to prevent unsafe food. So food safety basically, in a nutshell, is reducing what? Illness. Reducing illness caused by consuming contaminated food. It was a big word, this called contaminated food. Contamination.
The workshop, which was held at the Dumbarton Agriculture Station, is the first in a series of training programs, which would be implemented over several weeks. 2 health centers in North Leeward have undergone extensive rehabilitative work and are scheduled to be open soon. The Coles Hill Clinic will open immediately, while the Rose Hall Health Center is scheduled to be opened at a later date. Both the Coles Hill and Rose Hall centers are equipped with nurses' quarters. The 2-story Rose Hall Clinic, however, has both doctors and nurses' quarters. Minister of Health, St. Clair Prince, said one of the challenges with clinics is having a nurse stationed at the facilities so they can be on call to meet the needs of the communities. Prince encouraged nurses to use the quarters provided for them so they are better able to serve residents in the area. Area Representative for North Leeward, Carlos James, said it is critical for a nurse to remain at these facilities given the location of these communities and their obligation to serve members of the public. The restorative work done on the health centers are all part of the makeover and transformation of healthcare services and delivery across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Legal counsel representing the family of C.J. Weeks, Jomo Thomas, reveals that the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, the DPP, will not be filing criminal charges against police officers. 18-year-old C.J. Weeks died on Sunday, February 6, 2022, at the Milton Cato Hospital after reportedly being involved in an accident with police. According to the lawyer, Weeks was pursued by police and allegedly involved in a collision. The teen sustained paralyzing injuries as a result of the accident. The details of the DPP's correspondence to the lawyer were revealed during an interview on Boom Radio on Thursday. The DPP notes that the matter involving Weeks has garnered much public attention and anti-police rhetoric. The case files will be resubmitted to the coroner for an inquest to be initiated.
The prosecution has made the decision in the C.J. Weeks investigation, and fundamentally she says that no criminal liability arises from the incident that led to C.J. Weeks' death. She described the death as unfortunate, and Apparently, there's some recommendation for some administrative changes that should be implemented by the police. There's a claim that the incident highlights the need for more road hazard signs to be erected nationwide, and so on and so forth. But the government of decision is that criminal liability does not arise. She says that there has been unsettling sentiments expressed, anti-police rhetoric by the public, and those sentiments and rhetoric appear to have been spurred on by perceived injustice and a host of misinformation laced with propaganda.
Farmers raised an issue with the recommendations made by the DPP to have road hazard signs erected in the area where the accident took place, noting he does not believe such action would have made a difference.
DPP said road hazard signs, call for the erection of road hazard signs. I am not so sure, and I think, Carter, you're on point. If there's a sign, what would that mean if we had a similar incident? I don't think the question of the signs come into play. The fact of the matter is that even in the reports, the information which they got from people in that community, the police was right up on that boy as he was riding the bike.
CJ's mother and father are not pleased with the DPP's decision.
This coroner's inquest, which we would have, I would have an opportunity to be there and to question witnesses who come as a friend of the family, as a representative of the family. So we would see what happens. But like I said, it's not a very. I was speaking to the mother of CJ. Well, I spoke to both the mother and the father of CJ, and they were really disheartened and saddened by the decision, as one might expect.
The Caribbean Examinations Council, CXC, has announced that preliminary results for this year's examination will be available on September 5th. A press release from CXC says the team has been working assiduously to complete the marking and grading process. Results for the Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination CAPE, Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate CSEC, and Caribbean Certificate of Secondary Level Competence, the CCSLC, can be accessed online at www.cxc.org student results. Regional Ministries of Education will receive the preliminary results on Thursday, September 1st, 2022 to review and provide feedback as necessary in preparation for a joint meeting of ministries which will be held on Friday, September 2nd, 2022. In instances where requests for early release of results were made, preliminary results will also be made available to universities at the same time as the Ministries of Education to facilitate the matriculation of candidates.